Getting big. First parade. There you go, Bill. Come on, buddy. Comes the noise.
Oh, yeah. Not yet? It wasn't.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it.
Oh, my God. Yeah, so what I did was
Just for you, buddy.
You can't let your count.
One, Billy. Be loud.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Take a seat, find some shade. It's pretty hot. Fellow veterans, our Gold Star families, distinguished guests, families and friends of Palmer, welcome to the town of Palmer's annual Memorial Day observance. Thank you for joining us in this most hallowed of days. Today we celebrate and remember those who have made the ultimate sacrifice that we can live and breathe free today. A lot of us here today took an oath swearing our lives to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States from all enemies, both foreign and domestic. While we are here today, we owe a debt to our fallen, as they have fulfilled their blood oath with their lives. While we miss them and honor them every day, today we take pause as a nation and as a community to remind all that we are a nation free because of that sacrifice. At this time, would you please rise and welcome Reverend Bruce Presswood Taylor of the Second Congregational Church and the Brookfield Institute as he leads today's invocation.
Prior to last year's Veterans Day, I corresponded with a distant cousin of mine. Lieutenant Colonel Scott Flash Klein was an F-16 pilot in the United States Air Force and the Texas Air National Guard. And I asked him what it was like to be a husband and a father and to be active in the military. This is what he said: "It is so simple for me to want to be the tip of the sword. The problem is that Beth, his wife, Beth and the kids didn't volunteer for this. I did. Most don't understand a family's sacrifice, while the service person gets all the credit. So I hope those of you who are Gold Star families, families of members of the military who have died, to know that we are here for you too, to honor what you have invested in the well-being of our country and the sacrifice your beloved family members made. We gather here upon the shoulders of all those who have gone before us, for we are the heirs of their toils, their gifts, their lives, and their sacrifice. This day in particular, we remember the service and the sacrifice of members of our nation's armed services who are no longer with us. May our gathering kindle their memories in our hearts. May these memories stir us to live in ways that embody the highest ideals of our nation's founders. And so may our own lives be a living tribute to the veterans who died in service of those ideals."
Will you now please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance? And if you are able, remain standing and remove your cover for the playing of the national anthem presented by Noah Liss. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at twilight last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright
Thank you, Noah. Please join me in a moment of silence to honor those service members who have made that ultimate sacrifice. Thank you. You could be seated or relax. In attendance for today's observances, from the Massachusetts House of Representatives, 1st Hamden District, is State Representative Todd Smola. Following town councilors are Mr. Robert Lavoie, Councilor at Large, Clerk, myself, Mark Kochi, Ms. Jessica Sizer, Vice President. District councilors, District 1, Mr. Philip Hebert. District 2 and Council President, Ms. Barbara Berry. District 3, Mr. Carl Williams. District 4, Mr. Matthew Lemieux. Also in attendance is Town Manager, Mr. Ryan McNutt, and this year's guest speaker. And unfortunately, she wanted to be here today. Jen Baker is our newly appointed Veteran Service Officer. Unfortunately, like I said, she couldn't be here, but she wishes everyone best. Okay. Good. All right. Ready? Okay, next up, I would like to have presentation. Oh, 1 second. There. presentation of our wreath. Sergeant at Arms, please present and place a wreath in remembrance of all the men and women, past and present, who have and continue to sacrifice so very much for our defense of our country.
Present! Oh! Though these flowers may wither, let what they stand for last for eternity. Oh, no! Oh!
Thank you, Commander Matthew May. Please welcome to the podium our town manager, Mr. Ryan McNutt.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out. And I guess thank you to our divine God for the weather today. It's a little bit cooler than it was yesterday. But it's important that you all came out. It's important that you remember the reasons why you came out today. Memorial Day is not just the start of summer, and it's not just an excuse to have a 3-day weekend. And I also want to thank all of our elected officials, local officials, state delegation. Again, it's important that you all came out. It's important that we keep celebrating this. It gets harder and harder every year. Some of the folks that make this happen are getting older. Some of them are starting to disappear. We need succeeding generations to keep this going on. It's hard to be the guest speaker on Memorial Day. At one of the very first National Memorial Days, the guest speaker was Civil War veteran and future President James Garfield. And I'm going to open with what he opened with. I'm oppressed with a sense of the impropriety of uttering words on this occasion. And then he went on to give one of the longest speeches ever, 2 hours long. I endeavor to be much more succinct than President Garfield. Service members' deaths touch more than just the lives of their loved ones and friends. When their stories are shared in our neighborhoods, our homes, our schools, these men and women become part of the collective identity of Palmer. The impact of this ultimate sacrifice ripples through our communities. The stories of their shared sacrifices live on in the pride of memories of their loved ones and at the observances and through inscriptions on memorials like the one here. We must continue to share their stories, to remember what they sacrificed for the rest of us. Because few men and women choose to put their lives on the line to serve and defend the Constitution. Few go toward the danger. Few willingly face atrocities most of us can't fathom. Few volunteer to serve, knowing that death may be the outcome. But we can ensure that those who make this choice and make this ultimate sacrifice can rest knowing that they served with the thanks of grateful citizens and knowing that they won't be forgotten. In 2000, Congress established a national moment of remembrance, which asks Americans to pause for 1 minute at 3 p.m. in an act of national unity. The time was chosen because 3 p.m. is the time when most Americans are enjoying their freedoms, right? This ends at noon, but by about 3 p.m. today, you guys will be well into enjoying the day with your families. So let's all set an alarm on our phones or our watches right now for 2:58 p.m. so that you remember at 3 p.m. to stop what you're doing and remember your loved ones that served, the loved ones of your neighbors that served, and the people that have kept Palmer the way that it is so that we can celebrate a day like today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Please welcome from the Palmer Town Council, Councilor at Large, Ms. Jessica Sizer.
Thank you, Mark. I'd like to start my remarks with a sincere thank you on behalf of the Town Council to everyone who has had a part in organizing this event today, as well as everybody who's come to join us. Every year, the Town of Palmer has a truly beautiful Memorial Day ceremony, and it really shows how dedicated this community is to remembering our fallen soldiers. As the daughter of a combat veteran who is thankfully still here with us today, I don't know if he's physically here, but I know he was at the fire station earlier. My family knows firsthand what is at stake for our country's freedom. In my travels, I have been able to visit places like the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier in Arlington National Cemetery, as well as Pearl Harbor. While it is important that we are gathered here today, there are places around this country and the world who memorialize our fallen soldiers every single day. Unfortunately, even in 2022, we must still face the reality that our soldiers continue to pay the ultimate sacrifice. I encourage you to also think of these brave young men and women who continue to make this choice for our country. Thank you for joining us today.
We will now render honors to the service members and veterans who have passed on as this veterans of the AMVETS and American Legion perform the traditional 21 rifle salute, followed by the rendering of taps by the Palmer High School Band. Sergeant of Arms, have the detachment render honors.
Company, present, arm.
Please join me in welcoming Palmer's own from the Massachusetts House of Representatives, 1st Hampton District State Representative, Mr. Todd Smola.
Good morning. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming out here today to Palmer. I want to send a very special acknowledgement out to Pete Galika and Harrison Lavoie for all the setup work that they did today. Let's give them a round of applause for putting things together. Thank you very much. And I want to send a special thank you out to veterans and veterans organizations for the work that they have done over the period of the last few years. We've had some challenges in the last few years, particularly because of the circumstances of this pandemic. And they managed to see their veteran brothers and sisters that were infirmed, stuck, couldn't get out because of the COVID-19 variant. They brought them food, they brought them supplies, they brought them medicine, they delivered them care packages, they visited them when they were alone, they called them on the telephone. Our veteran men and women, long after they hung up their uniforms, came back to our communities and continued to participate, and they've showed some fine examples. So thank you to our veterans and our veterans organizations for what they've done. They deserve a round of applause. It's this fine example that they have set for each and every one of us that we should pay attention to and reflect on in our daily lives. Today, I'd like to recognize one of those individuals that is no stranger to the town of Palmer. Very sadly, just a few months ago on February 10th, we lost this very special individual, but you all know the name of Michael Cavanaugh. Michael Cavanaugh was an individual that dedicated so much time, energy, and effort to the town of Palmer. He was a World War II vet in the Army. He was in Korea, was in the National Guard, and after he hung that uniform up, he came back to Palmer and donated his time to this community. Spent 4 years on the school committee in Palmer, and I believe 48 years of consecutive time on the Pathfinder School Committee, more than 50 years of volunteer public service. The voters in this community and in this district continued to return Michael to office because we had an undying faith in his devotion and his commitment to children and his devotion and commitment to this community. He was part of a very dynamic duo in his wife, who is here with us today, Marge Cavanaugh, I believe 67 years of marriage. And Mike was just short of his 93rd birthday by a few weeks. But this is the first Memorial Day that we're having without Michael Cavanaugh. And it's a little heartbreaking for many of us, because if you looked at any town event that happened in Palmer when Mike was alive, Mike was here. He was marching in the honor guard, in the color guard. He sat in the audience as a supporter. He went to our sporting events. He supported our business community. Anywhere that Palmer and its villages were doing something, Michael Cavanaugh and Marge Cavanaugh were there to prop this community up and give it support. You never saw or heard Mike Cavanaugh do a negative thing on behalf of this community. He was always supportive of Palmer and its villages. There are some members of Michael's family that are here today, but Marge is here with us today, and we're excited that she's here with us. Marge, if you would give me a few moments of your time and come join me here at the podium, I'd like to present you with a special recognition today. So 67 years of marriage, but these two were really a dynamic duo. You always saw them together. And Mike is the last person on the face of this planet that would want this recognition, because he spent his time recognizing everybody else. So Mike, I hope you forgive us for this, but you certainly deserve it because of the special man that you are. Marge herself, who is a veteran of our great country, they've just done so much for this town. So as heartbreaking as it is that Michael isn't here today, we honor him posthumously with this recognition from the state of Massachusetts, which says, "Be it hereby known to all, that the Massachusetts House of Representatives offers its sincerest congratulations to Michael J. Cavanaugh in recognition of his selfless dedication to the town of Palmer, helping to inspire his constituents to strive for success, and his honorable life of sacrifice and service to the United States of America." Marge, we wish he was here to accept this on his own, but we know that you do it with good wishes and good graces for this town. They have been an outstanding team, and we thank you for your service to this country. God bless you.
Michael would be very, very proud and pleased. He never did anything for the recognition. He always did things from his heart. And I thank you from the bottom of mine.
from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. This is a Memorial Day proclamation. Whereas while the nation was still recovering from the horrors of the Civil War, people in cities and towns across the country gathered to honor those Union and Confederate soldiers who had given their lives, celebrating the first Decoration Day. And whereas after World War I, the nation came together again to honor those who had fallen in the service for their country. Renamed Memorial Day, the last Monday in May is when people remember and honor the memory of all men and women who fought and died in all American wars and conflicts. Whereas throughout the country's history, thousands of Massachusetts citizens have fought in wars and conflicts to defend the safety and ways of life. And whereas their legacy of patriotism and dedication to country is an inspiration to all Americans, and whereas it is appropriate that all Massachusetts citizens remember this bravery of those who gave their lives, so that their sacrifices serve as a reminder of the cost of their freedom. Now, therefore, I, Charles D. Baker, Governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, do hereby proclaim May 30th, 2022 to be Memorial Day, and with all the citizens of the Commonwealth to take cognizance of this event and participate fittingly in its observance, given at the Executive Chamber in Boston this first day of May in the year 2022, and the independence of the United States of America, the 245th, by His Excellency Charles Baker and Megan Polito. Reverend, would you please come up and do the benediction?
I invite you to join me in a spirit of prayer. Loving God, the framers of our Declaration of Independence claim that you have endowed us with inalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Yet there are those who would take these from us. Today we remember all those who have served in our country's armed forces to preserve the freedoms you have granted us, to make it impossible for those who would take away our freedoms from prevailing. For the men and women who serve in the Air Force, Army, Navy, Marine Corps, and Coast Guard, we ask your blessing. For the family members who have made great sacrifices in order to make it possible for their service members to be on watch at home or around the world, or to go into harm's way, we ask your blessing. For the families who grieved the death of a member who went in harm's way, never to return, we ask your blessing. Jesus said that no one has greater love than to lay down one's life for one's friends. For all those veterans who have been willing to lay down their lives for us, we remember, and we ask your blessing. Amen.
Company, cover.
Again, thank you everybody for joining us today. Before we break, I do want to make a plea to those of us who did make it home. We lose brothers, sisters, sons, and daughters well after the external conflict has ended, here on the home front. Though we as a community can't see the injuries, I promise you the battles continue. I ask that you reach out to your loved ones, reach out to your neighbor, reach out to your fellow veterans. That text, phone call, wave, whatever, could be the difference between them being here with us next year and not. Most of us wait too long to seek help due to the stigma attached to PTSD. Services are available to us. Reach out. Please let them know that we've got their six. For our loved ones that are not here today, may they rest in peace as they know that we now have the watch. Thank you.
If tomorrow all things are gone, I'd work for all my life, and I have to start again with just my children and my wife. I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, but at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the ones who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and the feathers still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston, and New York to LA, where there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say, and I'm proud to be an American, and at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the ones who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and the feathers still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, but at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the ones who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and the feathers still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Thank you, everybody.